Ladies, I want to remind us all that we are humans. We are not a wife appliance or a girlfriend appliance or a man's happiness machine. We are put here to fulfill whatever we want to fulfill as humans, achieve what we want to achieve, and have goals. Let's get into this relationship advice Reddit. This is a long one. Let's get into it though. She's 28, he's 30. She says, my boyfriend's ex hid a note about his cleaning and dating habits right before they broke up that I just found. How do I talk to him about cleaning habits without him feeling like I'm using his ex's words against him? Throwaway account because I don't want my boyfriend to find this. I posted this elsewhere, but I thought this subreddit could help too. I and my boyfriend, who we'll call Steve, have been together for 2 years and have been living together for 8 months. I was cleaning our apartment when I found a note in the back of a cabinet. For context, I'll copy it below. Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he never cleaned back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and wanted to warn you about him. Number one, he will not clean. Number two, he will not listen. Number three, he will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault. He's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him. I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia. I read the note and brought it to show him, and here his response. He immediately ripped it up and said not to listen to it, that she was crazy and untrustworthy. I told him the fact that he hasn't found it in the 5 years since they broke up is a red flag to me because it does mean he's never cleaned back there and that he has been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He told me that it wasn't a problem before the note. This is just his ex continuing to manipulate and ruin his life, and I was letting it work. We continued to argue along the same lines, and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family. He has given me gifts and flowers and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong in that cleaning hasn't really been brought up before. The note made me realize it had been less and less that we needed to have a full conversation. He texted me afterwards saying he's sorry that I felt like I had to leave, but that it's an a-hole move for me to take a note over our 2 year relationship and leave our pets alone. I don't know what to do or what to believe right now. I'm contemplating trying to find and reach out to Natalia. Her name in real life is pretty unique, so I think I can find her. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, that his past should affect our future. Maybe that says our past should not affect our future. I feel like I could be the a-hole because everything Steve said about Natalia does make it sound like she was manipulative and petty throughout their relationship, but I don't know what to trust. Edit. I realized that I didn't clarify enough about the points, especially the cleaning. Thought I'd add it here. When we moved in 8 months ago, the cleaning was 50-50. Since then, he's been doing things less and less. I'd say it's like 70-30, maybe 60-40 if he listens to me right away. It depends on the week. I have to remind him to do things like bring his plates to the sink or take out the trash. I didn't have to before. The dishes will pile up unless I do them, to the point he's had leftover food mold on the plates. I'm not a confrontational person, so I was just asking him to fix it when it came up. The note made me reflect on it more and try to have an actual full conversation. And I will say, I didn't feel listened to when I talked to him about it. I tried to use the note to start a conversation about cleaning, and he got so stuck on that I was listening to his ex instead of him that he wouldn't listen to what I think are valid concerns. He thinks I'm letting the note have confirmation bias, so no matter what he says, I'll think he's in the wrong. Also, I didn't leave him permanently. This all happened yesterday, and I only spent one night at a friend's because I didn't feel like our conversation was going anywhere last night, and he wouldn't let me sleep until I let it go. I'm going back today and wanted to get advice and feedback before I do. Edit 2. I appreciate all these comments with advice. I'm heading back to our place now. My plan is to first apologize for immediately bringing him the note without thinking of his feelings and validate that it's hard to leave, to have an ex's message found. That being said, you're all right that I've been letting the cleaning stuff get away. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to ask him repeatedly to clean. It was pointed out to me that he should have cleaned the shelves during his move from his ex's place. The fact that it hasn't been touched in 5 years is forcing me to take the note seriously. I don't want to throw away 2 years, so I'm going to ask him to come up with some clear cleaning expectations with me and designated chores. That will make it clear that cleaning is absolutely a deal breaker for me. And it's his decision on how he wants to respond. I'll update you all again. Thank you so much for the advice. Update. I followed your advice from the last post and tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with the note, he seemed to take that as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had come up with a list of specific instances of not cleaning, like many of you suggested, and he said I was using lists like his manipulative ex did. So, yeah, the crazy ex thing you all said was a red flag, was definitely true. When I realized the conversation wasn't going anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving. That's when I knew it was done and left immediately. 2 years down the drain, but I'm glad I had the wake up call before it was too late. I will let him cool off, and then I will ask my brother to come with me to grab my things while he's not there. He has a strict work schedule, so I think it'll work out. I'm planning on leaving a note there, but probably a little longer with the advice to not show it to him. I'm leaving it in the exact place, so if he doesn't learn his lesson about cleaning, it'll come to haunt him. All he has to do is clean. The biggest surprise out of all of this is that I didn't reach out to Natalia. She reached out to me. Apparently, he borrowed his friend's phone to call her, screaming that she's ruining his life still. The fact that he memorized just further confirms he was the crazy ex, not her. Natalia found me on social media and wanted to make sure I was okay and was especially concerned that he'd gaslight me like he tried with her. I thanked her for leaving the note and saving me time. We scheduled coffee for Thursday afternoon. I wanted to thank you all again for the advice, especially the person who posted the Love is Respect website. I took the healthy relationship quiz after our conversation and it wasn't great. You called out how he was weaning me into an unhealthy relationship so well. For now, my friend said I can stay until I find a new place. I have emergency savings and a decent job, so I'm in a privileged place where it comes to this messy breakup and just feeling grateful for that. Just posted my final update separately. Thank you all for everything. Whew. With that being said, I have talked. This one was a long one with all the updates. I'm going to stop this here. She posted an update, and I'm going to make that in a part 2 because this one was so long. Okay, here's the update to my boyfriend's ex hit a note about his cleaning and dating habits right before they broke up that I just found. How do I talk to him about cleaning habits without him feeling like I'm using his ex's words against him? All right, so I already did part 1. This is part 2 with the update. She says, as you can tell by my original post, I like to do things right away. It was definitely a mistake to bring him the note right away, but doing the things that I did this morning right away was not a mistake as it allowed me to save my pets. First, I want to respond to the comment saying I broke up a 2-year relationship over a note and chores. No, I broke up a 2-year relationship because when I tried to come up with solutions to an unequal situation, his response was to yell and try to convince me there was no problem except me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after he was screaming at me. That was not okay, and no one should stay with a man who responds to conflict like that. The actual update. I wound up texting the post to Natalia last night, and she thought it was great. She, like some of you, asked me about the pets. For context, one of the things Steve and I connected on was our love for little creatures. It's why I thought he was such a great guy, because if he could take such intricate care of his lizard, he could do the same with me. I was wrong. He has one lizard he bought before me, and then we bought 2 frogs together. I have a snake I brought with me when I moved in. I was planning on waiting until he cooled down to go grab my things and the frogs and snake, and thinking he would never hurt them. But Natalia changed my mind. She said he could get destructive when he's mad and was concerned about the safety of my little guys. I immediately knew I couldn't wait until later this week and reached out for a meeting with the landlord for early this morning. I wound up FaceTiming with Natalia last night and we had a long discussion. Natalia is a lawyer and told me that in our state, landlords are required to let me get out of the lease I sign in cases of DV. She also told me that his yelling, gaslighting, and refusing to let me leave are all types of abuse. It's definitely hard for me to sit with that, but the Love is Respect relationship quiz helped me also realize that a bit more last night. Apparently, his constant messaging and control over what I wore and when were signs of abuse too. Anyway, this morning, Natalia volunteered to come talk to the landlord with me alongside my brother. As soon as he heard the word lawyer, he was on top of it and said I could break the lease but would still have to pay for all of August, even though I'm leaving 3 days early. I felt that was fair. He also messaged Steve to say the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance all day today so I could pack my things. Steve messaged back that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I got into the apartment, it was a mess. He had broken my dishes that I brought with me on the ground and had left shards laying about. My clothes were ripped and scattered around our room. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone, but opened the tank doors for our frogs and my snake. Luckily, the frogs were still chilling in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. This made me the most mad, as she could have gotten cut on the broken glasses. I feel so fortunate that she was hiding in the closet corner and I was able to pack her up safely in her enclosure again. All my things are packed, and I'm writing this as my brother drives me back to my friend's house right now. Natalia told me that she actually left 3 notes, one in the cabinet, one on the other side of the vacuum, and one in the crumb catcher of the toaster. While we were there, we checked to see if the notes were still there. The one on the vacuum was, but it looks like Steve did clean out the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. He never told me he had already found the note in our conversations, so it caught me by surprise. Natalia and I left the vacuum note as is and replaced the cabinet one. I wasn't comfortable leaving my name on a new note, so my addition was a handout on the healthy versus unhealthy relationships and a QR code to the quiz that woke me up. I'll put it in the comments. I'm not sure if I can have an outside link. Natalia said if he didn't find the notes in those 5 years, especially after the move, he probably won't find them again. I'm inclined to agree, especially given he did find one, but then didn't even clean the rest of the house to see if there was any more. Steve doesn't make sense to me, and seeing the state of the apartment really woke me up to the fact that I have no idea who he is. The Steve I knew would never put his animals in danger, but I don't really think I ever knew Steve. To the people saying it's pathetic that I broke up my relationship because of chores and Reddit, I encourage you to reflect on the subtle ways that abuse starts. This Reddit thread woke me up to it and gave me the resources to get out safely before it got any worse. I also made an appointment for a therapist. I'm very lucky that my job has good insurance, so I should be able to work through this relationship. And I'm hoping to focus on boundaries and my people pleasing habits so I never find myself in this situation again. To the people wishing that Natalia and I would get together, we had a good laugh about it. Natalia is engaged to a wonderful man who cleans, listens, and reflects. She says there's a phenomenon when people break up with their awful ex, their soulmate can quickly follow. I'm hoping that's true. Regardless, I do think I got a good friend out of this, especially since Natalia is a snake mom too. This is my final update. I hope if you learn anything from my experience that abuse it doesn't start right away. First, there's love bombing, gifts, and pretty words, and then slowly they test how much you'll put up with. You should never have to put up with anything, especially moldy freaking plates. Okay, so I realized this was long. I also realized that this is Reddit. Anybody can write anything on Reddit, whether it's true or not. But there are definitely some things that you can learn in this, just like she's talking about how things can pile up and do so quickly, but just slowly encroach on your boundaries. So that's why it was important for me to do this one where she's talking about first there's love bombing, gifts, and pretty words. Let's not act like, even if this is not a real thing, let's not act like this is not a phenomenon that they use, where, things start out one way and then they end up changing because things do. If people came out the gate showing that they would never clean, that they would leave all of the responsibility of the pets or the kids on you, if they showed immediately that they were really, really angry when they got drunk, or they got really angry and controlling in the very beginning, they know that they wouldn't have a relationship to come back to. People don't show you that side. It slowly starts to add up and add up and add up to the person that you started with is not the person that you end up with or you end up breaking up with. So when people talk about just vet better, just choose better, the person, if a person is wearing a mask or a facade, you cannot vet a liar. You cannot vet someone that is using manipulation tactics. So I don't know how you're supposed to do this outside of watching things, not being so blinded to things when it starts to change, and communicating when things start to change, and watching for a response. All right, y'all, this has been long. I'm not going to do these comments, but you guys join the conversation and let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.